Hello everyone. I hope you are doing well and you celebrated Holi, but you also kept on studying and went through the previous two lectures. And I hope you don't have any doubts. So, in this lecture, we'll first start with some MCQs from the previous two lectures and then we'll move on to the new topics. So, the first question is, the Global Tuberculosis Report was released by which organization? And those of you who will be listening to this in the recorded mode, please pause after every question and write down your answer in the comment section, and also write down your score at the end. So for this the answer is WHO. The next question, Nikshay Portal and Nikshay Poshan Abhiyan is related to what? The answer is tuberculosis. Third question, which among the following planets do not have rings? The answer is Jupiter. Next, which organization decides the status of a planet? The answer is International Astronomical Union. Next, which organization decides the status of a planet? I think this has been repeated, so we'll leave this. Next, liquid oxygen, methane, or liquid oxygen, hydrogen peroxide recently seen in news are, these are PSLV fuels. We had studied this in our first lecture. Next set of questions. Kuiper belt is found between, this is between Mars and Jupiter. Next, Global Tuberculosis Report was released by which organization? This is by WHO. Next, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is celebrated on 9th Jan every year to mark the contribution of the overseas citizens of Indian community in the development of India. What is the significance of 9th January? So, the answer is B. Gandhiji returned to India on 9th Jan. Next, last question, with reference to Accessible India campaign, refer to the following statements. So, we studied that making 50% of all government buildings fully accessible. This statement is wrong. It was for National Capital Territory and the capitals of the state, not all. And this statement is correct. So, the correct statement is statement 2. So, let's start with today's topics. So, the first topic for today is irrigation system. Now, irrigation is very important because India is an irrigation dependent country. So, the 4 main types of irrigation are surface, subsurface, sprinkler, drip or micro. So, what is surface? Surface irrigation includes flooding, border, basin, furrow. You should remember these names. These can come in MCQ, like flooding, border, basin, furrow are what type of irrigation. So, these are surface irrigation. Next is subsurface. Subsurface irrigation means that if this is the plant and this is the soil, we are providing irrigation at the roots, and this is subsurface. This includes drip and other micro irrigation types. Then there is sprinkler and drip or micro. These are actually subtypes of subsurface only. Next, we'll see the data. Now, this is important. If question comes, more than 50% of irrigation is done through tube well or well. So, should remember that 61% of irrigation in India is done through tube well or well, and the total irrigated area is 36%, which amounts to 67 million hectare of area, which is much less compared to other countries. So if a statement comes that India has the highest amount of land under irrigation, no, it is very less than other countries. Next we come to World Water Development Report. Remember, it is released by UNESCO. Next, Central Water Commission. Central Water Commission works under Ministry of Jal Shakti. And it has said that by 2050 India will become water scarce. Now next is Atal Bhujal Yojana. It is an initiative of Ministry of Jal Shakti. It envisages people's participation through the formation of Water Users Association. It does water budgeting, preparation and implementation of Gram Panchayat wise water security plans. So you should remember the functions of Atal Bhujal Yojana. And who is funding the Atal Bhujal Yojana besides Government of India? It is World Bank, and the funding is 50-50. Next we see the National Aquifer Mapping and Management Program. It is being rolled out by Central Government Water Board under Ministry of Jal Shakti. Next we see Central Groundwater Board. Now this is also under Ministry of Jal Shakti, and it aims to develop and disseminate technologies and monitor, implement national policies and scientific and sustainable development. Next we see Central Groundwater Authority, CGWA. This is under the Environment Protection Act 1986. Remember this, that Central Groundwater Authority is under Environmental Protection Act 1986. Next we see Catch the Rain. This is by National Water Mission, Ministry of Jal Shakti in collaboration with Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan. What it does is focus on water conservation and rainwater harvesting. Next we see Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan, NYKS. It was established in the year 1987-88 ministry, and it is not under Ministry of Jal Shakti, it is under Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. It is basically functioning for harnessing the youth power for development by forming youth clubs, which are village level voluntary action groups. Next we see the National Water Mission, launched in 2011. What it aims is conservation of water, minimizing wastage, ensuring more equitable distribution. Objective is to increase water use efficiency by 20%. Now the Long Term Irrigation Fund, or the LTIF. Now it is implemented to address the problems associated with perennial irrigation water crisis in rural India. It is under the Ministry of Water Resource, River Development, Ganga Rejuvenation, along with NABARD. Why NABARD? Because it is for rural India. So NABARD operationalizes the long-term irrigation fund, and LTIF comes under Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. So LTIF is under NABARD, is by NABARD, and is functioning under the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. Next we see the Micro Irrigation Fund. Now this is also under NABARD, and it aims to expand coverage of micro irrigation, and some states are lagging behind. So it is not for all states, it is only for states which are lagging behind. Now we'll study about NABARD. It is a statutory body owned by the Government of India. So NABARD is owned by Government of India. It is a statutory body, not a constitutional body. It was established under the recommendation of B. Sivaraman Committee. Headquarters is in Mumbai. And what it regulates the district central cooperative bank, the regional rural bank, and state cooperative bank. Now how does NABARD works is it gives direct loans to food parks, finance cooperative banks, loan to cold chain warehouse and cold storage, and credit facility to marketing federation. And what are the various funds under it? We studied about LTIF, long term irrigation fund, then there is micro irrigation fund, and then there is rural infrastructure development fund. These funds are those which are deposited by banks under PSL. Now we see the agriculture infrastructure fund. It is the formal credit to farm and food processing activities, and it is a medium to long term debt financing facility. Next, the climate change fund by India. Now we know you must have studied about Kyoto Protocol or the adaptation fund which was developed in Kyoto in your environment section. Now the climate change fund by India is set up at the national level to implement the laws of the adaptation fund which we had signed in Kyoto. Green climate fund, it is the national implementation entity for green climate fund. Next we see the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. It is a centrally sponsored scheme, a core scheme. You should know what is the difference between centrally sponsored scheme and central scheme, and the difference between a core scheme and a non-core scheme, and how budget is provided for different types of schemes. Now the Krishi Sinchai Yojana has 3 sub-schemes under it. First is the Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Project, which is under Ministry of Jal Shakti. Integrated Watershed Management Program, which is under Ministry of Rural Development, and last on Farm Water Management, which is under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. Now there are 3 focus points for Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, which is Har Khet Ko Pani, increased water use efficiency, per drop more crop, and creation of new source and repair design of sources. Next we see the Niranchal National Watershed Project. It aims to fulfill the watershed component of the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, and it is implemented by Ministry of Rural Development and only in 9 states, not in all states, and it is assisted project by World Bank. Now we see the National Authority for Recycling Ships. Under this you must be aware about Alang in Gujarat, which is the largest ship recycling industry in the world. Now why is Alang so famous for ship recycling? Is because it is on the west coast, and western coast has natural indentation and higher tides, so it is easier for ships to come till the port naturally, and recycling is easier. Now Alang, the city, is also called as Alang Sisoya. It is located on the Gulf of Khambat. Alang shipbreaking yard is world's largest shipbreaking yard. It is also known as graveyard of ships. So if a MCQ comes, graveyard of ships, which town or which place is known as graveyard of ships? It is Alang in Gujarat. Now why Alang? The tides are heavy, there is natural slope, long straight beaches and low cost labor. Now we see the GOT code of conduct. Why important? Because India joined it recently as an observer. India is not a member, it's an observer. What is the purpose of GOT code of conduct? It is for enhancing maritime security in the Indian Ocean region. When was it established? 2009. Under whom? International Maritime Organization. Now how many countries are signatories? 20 countries, and it is mainly aimed to repress the piracy and armed robbery against ships. Next we see the International Maritime Organization. The International Maritime Organization, United Nations specialized agency. The United Nations established IMO after an agreement during the Geneva Conference. Headquarters is in London and currently comprises 174 members. When India joined? India joined in 1959. So India is a member of International Maritime Organization. Next we see the Indian Ocean Rim Association. The Indian Ocean Rim Association is an international body comprising the coastal countries that border the Indian Ocean. France, since its island are part of the Indian Ocean, is the recent country to join the Indian Ocean Rim Association. Now why this can be the option to confuse that France is a part of Indian Ocean Rim Association? Yes, it is. And why? Because many of its islands are part of the Indian Ocean, such as Reunion. Now what it aims is to promote balanced development and sustainable growth in the regions of the member states. Now these are some other objectives, you can go through them. What are the 6 priority areas? Maritime safety and security, trade and investment facilitation, fishing management, disaster risk management, tourism and cultural exchange. Where is the secretariat? It's in Ebene, Mauritius. It has 23 member states. You should remember the important one. India is there, Bangladesh is there. Now Pakistan is not there, though it is a part of the Indian Ocean region, it is not there. France is there because of its islands. UAE, Yemen, keep an eye on these options. These can be confusing options. So from South Asia or Indian subcontinent, we only have Bangladesh and India and Sri Lanka. Now this is important. So these are the countries which are part of the Indian Ocean region, but these are not part of the organization. These are Myanmar, Pakistan, Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Eritrea. Next, the Indian Ocean Commission. It is the only intergovernmental body in Africa composed of island nations alone. The nations belong to African, Western, Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean Commission was formed in 1982 in Port Louis, Mauritius, and its secretariat is also in Port Louis. Now, it has 5 member countries, which is Comoros, Madagascar, Mauritius, Reunion and Seychelles. Now India is an observer state. SAGAR. Now SAGAR full form is Security and Growth for All in the Region. It was launched in 2015. Hello Ajay, I hope you are liking the class. Now we'll continue. Why is SAGAR important? Now SAGAR is important because India seeks to deepen economic and security cooperation with its maritime neighbors and assist in building their maritime security capabilities. Next, we see Mission Sagar 3. Now it is part of the Human Assistance and Disaster Relief (HADR). This was specifically for Cambodia during the COVID-19 situation. So Mission Sagar 3 is relief program for Cambodia for COVID-19. Mission Sagar 1 was for Maldives and Madagascar and Mauritius, and Mission Sagar 2 was for Sudan, South Sudan, Djibouti and Eritrea. So that's all for today, and we'll continue the lecture tomorrow with 5 MCQs from today's lecture. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. See you in the next class.